You're making more money than your parents ever dreamed of, yet you're one car repair away from financial collapse. Why does a six-figure household feel so broke? The biggest financial lie of the last 50 years is that two incomes are a guaranteed ticket to the middle class. Today, I'm going to prove why 1 plus 1 actually equals 0. Welcome to the two-income trap. Meet Alex and Sarah. They are the quintessential 2026 American success story. He's a senior project manager at a tech firm. She's a clinical research associate. Together, they bring home $185,000 a year. That salary puts them comfortably in the top tier of U.S. households. By all accounts, they are rich. But walk into their kitchen at 11 p.m. on a Tuesday, and the scene doesn't look like success. It looks like a crisis. You'll see two exhausted human beings staring at a laptop screen, debating if they can afford to replace their aging HVAC system this month. You'll see Sarah wondering why, despite a massive combined income, their savings account hasn't grown in 3 years. They did everything they were supposed to do. They got the degrees, they climbed the corporate ladders, they waited until their careers were stable to start a family, they bought a house in a zip code with a high-rated public school, yet they are living one missed paycheck away from a total financial meltdown. If this sounds familiar, you aren't alone. We've been sold a seductive myth that two incomes are a guaranteed ticket to the middle class. It's basic addition, isn't it? Double the earners, double the wealth. Except the math is a lie. In the modern American economy, the two-income household is actually more fragile, more stressed, and more likely to file for bankruptcy than a single-income family from 50 years ago. To understand how we got here, we have to look back at 1970, the supposed golden age of the American middle class. Back then, only about 40% of women were in the workforce. The vast majority of households ran on a single paycheck. Here is the part that is hard to swallow for a modern professional. That single income was enough. In 1970, the median home price was around $25,000. Even when you adjust for inflation, that's about $200,000 in today's money. Today, the median home price in the U.S. is hovering over $420,000. In cities where the jobs are, places like Austin, Charlotte, or Phoenix, it's much higher. But the real difference wasn't just the price of a house. It was a concept called safety margin. In 1970, the stay-at-home parent acted as a massive built-in insurance policy. If the breadwinner got sick or the factory closed down, the other parent could enter the workforce. It wasn't always a perfect solution, but it was a labor reserve sitting in the wings. Today, we've deployed that insurance policy as the default. We're running our family engines at 100% capacity just to stay at the starting line. When both parents work 50 hours a week just to pay the mortgage, there is no one left to go to work if a crisis hits. We have zero margin for error. We're running a marathon at a sprint pace, and we've forgotten that marathons are supposed to be 26 miles, not a lifetime. You might think that because we have more money, we should be twice as prosperous, but the economy has a way of absorbing that extra cash. When the two-income family became the norm, we entered a status arms race. We all want the same thing, a safe neighborhood with a good school for our kids. In the 70s, you competed for those houses with families with one income. Today, you're bidding against families with two six-figure salaries. This created a bidding war for opportunity. You aren't just paying for four walls and a roof. You're paying a premium for the zip code that gives your child a chance at a future. Because everyone has two incomes now, the price of admission to the middle class has doubled. You aren't paying for a nicer life. You're paying a massive surcharge just to access basic amenities that used to be affordable on a single salary. The bank looks at your combined income and tells you that you can afford a $600,000 mortgage, and technically you can, as long as both of you never, ever stop working. Let's talk about the ghost income, the money that looks real on your tax return but never actually hits your bank account. Let's look at Sarah's $80,000 salary. On paper, that's a huge contribution, but when you look at the leakage, the reality is shocking. First, there is the tax trap. Because the US uses progressive tax brackets, Sarah's income is added on top of Alex's. This means her first dollar is taxed at their highest marginal rate. Between federal, state, and payroll taxes, nearly 35% of her check is gone before she even gets to the parking lot. Then there is childcare. In 2026, the average cost of full-time childcare for 2 children in a major U.S. city is rivaling a mortgage payment. In many states, you're looking at $30,000 to $40,000 a year for quality care. And finally, there is the exhaustion tax. This is the silent killer of the two-income household. When both parents work 50 hours a week plus a commute, no one has the physical or mental energy to maintain a home. You order DoorDash because you're too tired to cook. That's $70. You pay for a wash and fold service because the weekends are for catching up. That's $50. You hire a house cleaner and a lawn service. You buy work clothes and pay for a second commute, second car insurance, and second car maintenance. When you do the final math, that $80,000 salary might only be adding $10,000 of actual liquid value to the household bottom line. Sarah is trading 2,500 hours of her life every year for a net gain of $10,000. That is $4 an hour. Ask yourself, is the stress, the missed bedtimes, and the constant burnout worth $4 an hour? This is where the trap snaps shut. Because you have two incomes, you've locked yourself into fixed costs that consume 75% of your take-home pay. In the single-income era, if you hit a rough patch, you could cut back on luxuries. But in 2026, you can't cut back on your $3,500 mortgage. You can't cut back on your property taxes or your mandatory health insurance premiums. We're a house of cards generation. We look prosperous in our SUVs and our renovated kitchens, but there is no floor beneath us. We're operating at 100% capacity with zero reserves. Like a car running with no oil in the engine, everything works fine until it doesn't, and then everything breaks at once. So, how do we escape? The world has changed, and we can't just go back to 1970, but we can change the rules of the game. The answer is the one-income foundation. You must structure your non-negotiable life, your mortgage, utilities, and groceries, so they can be covered by a single income. If you buy a house that requires 2 salaries to sustain, you have surrendered your freedom. The second income must be treated as bonus or voluntary. It should go exclusively towards building wealth, paying off the house early, maxing out retirement accounts, or creating a 12-month emergency fund. True wealth isn't a high gross salary. True wealth is optionality. It is the ability to say no to a toxic boss because your lifestyle doesn't depend on every single cent. It's the ability to stay home when your child is sick without fearing foreclosure. The families who are truly thriving in this economy aren't the ones who earn the most. They're the ones who have preserved their margin. They've refused to let their expenses expand to consume their income. They've kept their backup plan in reserve instead of deploying it just to keep up with the Joneses. Don't let the two-income trap become your cage. Build for resilience, not just for appearance, because in the end, wealth isn't what you earn. Wealth is the time you get to enjoy it. You can earn your way out of a lot of problems, but you can't earn your way out of a trap you didn't even know you were in. Now that you know the truth, the question is, what are you going to do about it? True wealth isn't about the size of the paycheck you receive. It's about the size of the life you get to keep. Here at Cost of Being, our mission is to peel back the layers of the modern economy and show you the hidden math that dictates your freedom. We don't just look at what you earn, we look at what it truly costs you to be middle class in the 21st century. If this deep dive into the two-income trap changed the way you look at your bank account, please hit that subscribe button and join our community. Your support helps us create more content that challenges the status quo of personal finance. But before you go, I want to hear from you. Be honest. After you factor in taxes, childcare, and the exhaustion tax, how much is that second income actually netting your family? Are you building a one-income foundation, or are you still caught in the bidding war? Leave a comment below. I read as many as I can, and your stories help us all realize we're not alone in this trap.
Don't forget to hit the like button if this video brought you value, and share it with someone who needs to hear this. I'm Wyme, and this is Cost of Being. We'll see you in the next one.